Okay, what we talk today, I will introduce the course. Then we will discuss a little about the project management definition. That's general definition about project management. Then I will talk a little about the project life cycle, project management methods, project management knowledge area. These are the main topics that today we will discuss about that. So what is the main objective of this module? In this module, we focus to develop knowledge and skill for composing project plan. One of the main goal and objective of this module, this subject is that we should get the knowledge and skill of project management, that we should be able to plan a project for planning software project. The third objective of this module is to acquire deeper knowledge in one topic of project management. So we will discuss about different topics of project management. We discuss about different topics of project management, but we will focus in some specific topic. We will talk about generally about many different topics, but we'll focus about a specific topic. Mostly we will use Scrum, and we will talk about Agile method, the lab practice, and also your project also will be based off the Agile method. Finally, to acquire basic knowledge and skills for assessment of project plan. When we are using Agile method and we will use the approach of Scrum, in that case, we will start from environment study and collecting the user story. Then we will create a list of requirements or list of user story, and based off that list, we will prioritize the list of requirements. Then we will prototype something, and then we will test. So we should have knowledge in different process, in different steps of the Agile approach. So the concept of this method is that we should use tools, technique, and our experience. So then we need to have this knowledge at how to evaluate and how to validate the product and the artifacts we will produce. So this is the main goal and objective of this project. What activities we need, what activities we will have? We have two types of work. One is lecture that we will have weekly, and another part is individual activity and group activity. Lectures is mostly the same as we started today. Lecture will be in English. I will record the lecture as well. The record of lecture also will be shared in the Google Classroom, including other materials, books, articles, lecture notes. All of this available resources will be shared in the Google Classroom. Most of you are already member of the classroom, but all of you have to be member of the classroom and you need to use the resources. All of the announcement, assignment, quiz, and resources will be shared through the Google Classroom. So one part is mostly the responsibility of a lecturer. The second activity is that the second parts of the activity is belong to you. There is group activity and also individual activity. Individual activity, everyone need to have a project. You need to select a topic and you need to start working on that topic. We will have lab practice also. In the lab practice, I will explain how you complete your assignment. Lab practice is mostly a guidance for your assignment. Your assignment is very, very important. That's like a homework for you. But in lab practice, I will show similar projects for you and I will complete a prototype for you. You follow with me, but in your project. You work on your project, but I will show some example projects. I will prototype an example project that how to practice project management, how to practice project management. So we have general project management and we will practice with the specific project. Our practice will be for the specific project, but the discussion will be more general about different projects, including research project and implementable projects. So you have different homework and assignments. In each assignment, in each week actually, I will give an assignment to you and then you work on that, and before end of week you have to submit your assignment. It means today and Saturday we have lecture. At the end of this lecture, I will give an assignment for you. I will write the instruction of assignment to the Google Classroom, and you submit your assignment to Google Classroom. When next week on Friday, not next week actually, in Europe it's called next week, but in Afghanistan that's this week. This week and Friday, you have to submit your assignment. Then you have some project activity as well. You have some project activity and group activity. So you need to work as a group as well. Why we need group? Because you have to work as a team, and the person who have the project, he works as manager of the project, and he invites some other team members, and they also should contribute in the project. But also then this person who is now the project manager should help with others as a team member. So you need to contribute to each other. Why? Because we need the team members for collecting requirements, for evaluating the project, and also for collecting feedback from them, because you need team members as well. Everyone will have one project, but you invite some other colleagues for the project contribution, for work contribution, to help with you for collecting requirements and also feedback and evaluation of your project. So we have 3-4 different activities: lecture, lab practice, individual activity, homework, and group project. We have 4 types of activity in this module. Okay, how you follow this module? Before we start the lecture, you should complete your home assignment. You should complete your home assignment. because if today we have, when we today have the lecture, you should complete on Friday. Your assignment should be completed on Friday. That's important. The second thing, before you come to the class, before you come to the participate to the lecture, so you need to read the, I will upload the materials, the lecture note already uploaded to the module, to the Google Classroom. You need to read that as well, because you need to write some, if some parts is not clear for you, you need to write that questions and then I give a little time for you at the end of each lecture that you can write your question in the chat room, or you can active your microphone and you can ask. So you need to write your questions, because the limitation of this online lecture is that I don't see you. We do not have eye contact. So because you need to do some individual activity, and we need to contribute somehow to make it useful. Otherwise, when we do not have the eye contact, then the quality of the lecture will be not enough good. So because it's very important that everyone have to contribute and you have to try to learn something. Then study, I already said this, that this study is by lecture, and also will have some individual activity, group activity, and lab practice. But during the lecture also, you can, anytime that you think that, okay, you have a question, you can add your question in the chat room. At the end, I will read the chat room and will talking about, I will answer your questions. Even now, if you have some questions, because it's difficult to, I don't see you, you can write your question in the chat room. Later I will read. At the end of class, I will read and answer. I will answer to them. So this is the thing that we did. This is the rule that we have to follow. The lab practice, I already talked about this. The lab practice is that it's supposed that we should prototype at the end of this course some project. For example, if we want to develop the university management information system, we can start from collecting requirements, then analyzing the requirements and prioritizing the requirements. Then we will not code, but I will show some tools. I will show some model-driven development system that we can prototype without coding. Because coding is also good, of course, if some of you are coding. But for the project management, I'm not expecting from you to code these things. But I will show some method that you can prototype a full functional prototype without coding. We can use DIME, that we can model that, and then we generate code, and the tools will generate code by itself. Later, at the end of course, we can export these codes and we can work out of DIME as well, or we can enhance this. So in this course, you will prototype one application as well. So group practice we already discussed, and after the presentation, then we will, I will check your questions. At the end of the project, when you completed your project, what you need to have? You need to have a presentation. You will present your project, and also you need documentation. You need to document all your work and submit at the end of the course. So what topic we will cover? In the administration part, we will talk about project constraint, So the role of project portfolio management and project planning, prevention of conflict in project work, prevention of conflict in the project work. We will talk about this also. Motivation of team members, usage of project management software. So different software can be used for the project management. We will see in the lab practice as well. And we will talk also about some specific environment, project environment that we need to respect for the environment culture, for the organization culture. For example, if we implement a project in the Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Education, the culture of Ministry of Education is different than the Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Interior. So we need to consider the environment culture as well. So we will talk about these things. They are all skills and knowledge about administration and management. We will talk about implementation of project outcome as well. Developing a project, completing a project is one part. To make it useful and maintainable, that's another skill. It needs another skill. We will talk a lot about the project outcome as well. When we completed our project, how to implement that, how to implement, how to deliver a project, how to maintain a project, how to learn from the work we completed. So we will talk about these things as well, and documentation of the project, that how you document a project. So about the about other methodological topic, we will discuss about Scrum. You know that we have agile approach, and based of agile approach, we have different methods, different process that we can follow. Mostly our focus will be in agile, and the process will be Scrum. We will talk in detail about Scrum, Lean methodology, incremental methodology, iterative methodology, spiral methodology, prototyping methodology, regionally unified process, the role of software standard in software projects, moving from one software development methodology to another, because it's not always like linear. Sometimes we need to mix different methods. Sometimes we need to mix different methods, because we will talk a little about integrating prototyping with agile as well, or merging model-driven development with agile. So we will talk about these things as well. In the project, sometimes you can start with a pre-planned method like waterfall, but later you see that this is not working. Later you see that, okay, this is not working. You need to change the method, or you need to mix some other methods also. You need to merge prototyping or some other process as well. Then how to move from one method to another method. We will discuss about these things as well, and most of our focus is on agile. So finally, we will discuss about risk in software projects. We will discuss about risk, because there is a lot of risk in software project management. Because when we develop a software in total in IT field, in computer, so we practicing something completely new, because different environment, different culture, different resources needs different concept, different methods of management. You cannot apply the skills that you have for the Ministry of Finance. You cannot apply that skill for a research project. So always the environment is different. It needs different skills, different methods, and different interaction. So we will discuss about different risks as well. Estimation of cost of software development, ensuring interoperability with existing information systems. One of the problems that mostly in IT domain we see, when you start to develop some software, when you start to develop some web application, then there is many other application already exist there. How you solve this problem? Do you want to remove all of them? That's not the solution actually, because it creates a lot of constraint, a lot of problems. If you start to remove them, first, you waste the resources. The second, it creates a lot of problems. It creates a lot of conflict. Most of the problem that you have this experience, you are master students now. I'm sure most of you are working already. You have this experience that most of the problem in computer applications is that we have many different applications and they are not interoperable. For now in Afghanistan, actually, we have, this is the most critical problem now. You see that we have different applications and different systems with different organizations, and they are not interoperable with each other. The main system that it should be the mother of other systems, that is the EID card, that's also not interoperable with others. So this is a big problem. How to make sure that the software that you are developing, it should be interoperable with other software, with other applications. If it's not interoperable with others, then it's adding another problem to the existing problem. It's adding one other problem to the existing problem. The same as, for example, we have now this problem in the Ministry of Higher Education. We have Moodle, we have Google Classroom, we have EDX, and we have many other localized applications like Concur system, the HMIS, and them. So now you think that how to manage all of them. That's a big problem. So that's a big problem. We will discuss about these things in detail. Types of software testing, planning and managing software testing process, change management in software project. When we want to change something, how to manage this. We will talk about this as well. That's also very important. Because, for example, now we want to change EDX to the Moodle. How to do this? Or we want to change the FMS that is in the Ministry of Finance. We want to change that to some open source application, because in each year we paying millions of Afghanistan budget to some other country because of managing of that application. If you want to change that, how to do this? We will talk about these things as well. Role models of TEM in software project. We will talk about this also, that we should have some role model. We have to follow that. Preparation and enforcement of software project related contracts, participation on software tenders. So these are the most topics, the list of the topics that we will talk about them. The list of materials, course materials are in this slide. I will upload all of them in the Google Classroom. You can access from there. So the method of lecture and course class management, I will use flipped classroom method. Flipped classroom method is actually a method that try to provide a contribution environment that everyone should contribute in this learning process. I will define a learning process for you, and then everyone have to contribute on this process. The method, the flipped classroom method, is a method of lectures, a method of learning that lecturer provide the learning environment, define a learning process, and everyone have to contribute on this. This method, actually, this is a good method. I think this is a good method at least for the online courses. So I use this method also here in Ireland. So how this method works? We start from remembering. What it means remembering? Find or remember information. When you hear that the things, when I lecture, you hear that, or when you're reading some books, then you get some information. You remembering that, then understanding, then you have to think about that, what it means. When I'm talking about flipping classroom, when I'm talking about Scrum methodology, when I'm talking about prototyping, when I'm talking about different tools, you remembering somehow that, but still you do not create a question for you that what it means. So then you have to ask from yourself what it means. And based off answering to that question, you will understand. You will understand that, okay, prototyping means that, okay, we do these things. Flipped classroom, I heard that, but I didn't know this. Now I understood what it means. Then planning, you plan that, okay, when you learn it and understood, then what you need to do? You applying that. You applying that. You start, okay, now I learned it about Scrum. How to apply this method? Now you start to apply that. And then create, evaluate, and analyze. This is the thing that we will follow. This is the method that we will follow. What method we will follow in this lecture? Flipped classroom method. It means I will provide the learning environment. I will define the learning process, but it depends to you how you want to improve your knowledge. How you want to improve your knowledge. It is completely depend to you. You can participate sometimes. Some people participate in a class, but do not learning anything. It's completely belong to you. How to learn? The environment is created. The learning process is defined. Now it depends to you that how to learn, how to use this environment, how to improve your knowledge. This is the method. Okay, homework. As I said, at the end of each class, we will have a homework. And in this homework, you're working on that, do not send to my email. But if sometimes you need to ask some questions or you need to contact with me, you can send to my email as well. But submit your homework, your assignment to the Google Classroom. There is an option that you can upload your assignment to the Google Classroom. So writing feedback also, Google Classroom provides an environment that you can write feedback as well. I also write feedback about your assignment. When you completed your assignment, when you submit it, during the weekend, I will check and I will provide some feedback. Do not expect me to provide feedback for all of you, but at least for some of you, but I will check, for example, if I check it 10 people in this week, I will check 10 of you next week. So because it takes time, this is the method and this is the process. What is the assignment? Assessment. How is the assessment? The assessment, we have different, actually two parts, main two parts. One final exam, one this assignment and lab practice. Assignment and lab practice. So first we start with topic selection. From today, you need to think about a topic selection. Which project you want to select and how you want to collect the requirements. You need to collect the requirements. And then when you selected the topic, you need to explain about your topic. And then you start collecting the requirements and then upload to the Google Classroom. And this part has 10% of a score. I will mark that 10% of a score. Then lab practice. Lab practices for the your own, it's a guidance for the assignment actually. It's a guidance for the assignments. I will show you how to start a project, how to evaluate a project, and how to develop a prototype. You participate on that. You work together with me. I work with the tools. You work together with me. You follow me. Then, when you complete it, you take a screenshot from that and upload to the Google Classroom. So this part also have 10%. Then prototyping. So when you selected a project, when you collected the requirements, then when you are familiar with the tools, then you start with prototyping. For prototyping, then when you completed your prototype, when you deployed your application, then this one have 20% of the total marks. So at the end, you need to have presentation. The project presentation have 10% of total marks. And finally, you completely write a project document. You need to write the document of your project, the same as when you are writing a thesis. It's not that much big like a thesis, but you need to write a full documentation of your project. Write about your project, start from introduction, then discuss about related projects, then about method you used, then you start about technical parts of your project, explain all of them. You have to write a document and submit that also to the this Google Classroom. That part also have 10%, and final exam have 40%. Final exam is like questions, and you are familiar with the final exam. That's a paper-based question. Then this one have 40%. So still, if you needed to contact with me, you can send email to my email address. Okay, why this part is completed actually? This was the part of introduction to the course. This part was the part of introduction to the course. A report about projects, and why project management is so important. Why project management is so important. I found a report from 2014. Unfortunately, couldn't find the updated list, updated report from the updated report of this, but from 2014, we have a good report, research report about the projects. In the United States, they spend 250 billion each year for the IT applications. They spend 250 billion. It's a big amount. They spend this amount of money for the development of the IT projects. So, and approximately 155,000 projects they complete in each year. 155,000 IT projects they complete in each year. So the average cost of a development project for a large company is $2,322,000. The average cost for the large company. Medium companies, 1,331,000. And for small companies, 434,000. This is the budget that they spend for the IT projects. This is an example from USA. It is also the same in Europe. And also we have the same, even more budget in the developing country because they need to start everything from scratch. They need more development of software and even more budget for system development. So when we see this amount of budget, for sure it needs a good management.
In progress.
If you expect from someone who do not know IT, who are not software developers, who do not have the skill of information system, you can't expect from such a person to be able to manage the IT projects. It's not possible. So because a person who have knowledge of information system, a person who have knowledge of IT and computer science, they should manage these types of technical projects. Why? Because if some company apply for a project and they say, we want to develop a software and it costs $100,000. Then who should know this estimation? Do we expecting from some person who is a leader or some other person, not some non-technical person, to say that why you cost this? Do they know the coding duration? Do they know the project life cycle? No, it's very difficult for them because this project management knowledge needs for the technical people as well. For this technical people who manage the projects of IT. So many of these projects will fail. Many of these projects will fail. In general, only 16%, 16.2% of the projects are success. and all other projects will fail or face to some big challenges. For example, Standish Group, which provided this report, they say that 31.1% of the project cancelled before even it's completed, before completion. We have hundreds of these types of projects that before completion, they will cancel or they already canceled. I have experience of management in Afghanistan, actually. I know that how many projects canceled already or how many of them will cancel in future. So in USA, which is the mother of technology, actually, they are 31.1% of the projects cancel before completion. And 52% of the 52.7% of the projects will, the cost of that will be increased during the implementation. How much increase? 189%. This is also a types of failed of the project. For example, you estimate the cost of a project $100,000, then later you see that, okay, it's not possible with this budget. You need to request another budget for this. Then another budget. That types of projects, it's called failed, actually. You remember some projects that is, it's years and years and they are still not completed. These types of projects counting failed. So in overall 16.2% of the project is counted as a success. Other part is not success. 52.7% of the project is cancelled. 52% is challenged, and 31.1% is cancelled. So this is a report from the USA. How is the success rate? If we count from the success side, anytime that you evaluate some things, analyze some things, try to check from the success side and from the failed side. The average is only 16.2% in software for the software projects. The average for the average of success for the software projects is only 16.2%. So now actually, even in the big project is in that's worse. In the big project, it's even worse. Only 9% of the project is delivered on time. Only 9% of the project is delivered on time and on budget. That's in big companies. The experience, the result of research show that small companies here are more success than big companies. And small companies, 16.2% of the project are success. In big companies, larger companies, only 9% of the project completed on time and on budget. So even when these projects are completed, many are no more than more shadow. Why? Because some of them is completed, but it's completed in the time that it was not needed anymore. It was not needed anymore. Because project is for a specific time with a specific resource with a specific budget. If you think that you plan a project for this year, but you deliver that product 5 years later, do you need that 5 years later? No, of course. There is many of the projects which it's completed, but there was no needed anymore on that project. So that's also very important. Project completed, okay. Project completed by the largest American companies have only approximately 42% of the original proposed features. Some of them is like this: you propose something, but they deliver something else for you. You ask for them that, okay, we need a system for the election of Afghanistan. Then the company delivers something for you that it's not working for the election. It's good for the, it's a nice website. It lists the, it can work like a repository for the database, but it's not working for the election. So we have a lot of that types of project as well. The example that I explained it just a few moments ago, it was supposed to develop a software for the e-ID card in Afghanistan in 2004. And finally, the result of that, now we have a system in the Ministry of Finance that printing a card for the official employee of Afghanistan. So that was not supposed to do that. It was supposed to develop something else. So we have a lot of that types of projects as well. Smaller companies do much better. So as I said, the experience and the report of this research show that smaller company did much better work. 78.4% of the projects are based of the features proposed by the stakeholders. That's a good number. And then at least 74.2% of their original features and functions. So this is good. This data may seem, if you check this and you find, you will see a fact that 48% of the IT executive in our research sample feel that there are more failure. So it shows that this research shows that a big percentage of the project failed. So what to do this? It's not a small challenge or small problem that we can ignore that. It's not ignorable. Even if you as a professional in Afghanistan, you can see in your environment, in your environment that you are working, you see a lot of IT projects that you're not supposed to be success. It's already clear that it will not be success. But still, millions of budget we spend on them. Why we should spend on that? Someone have to manage this. Someone have to tell that, please stop spending money on these things. So because it's very, very important that a technical person should be able to manage projects as well. Have to validate the outcome, have to evaluate, have to check, is this really a useful project? Is this possible to deliver that in time, on budget, or not? If it's not possible, we should stop spending money on them. Because I have this experience that millions we spent in Afghanistan for the IT projects without result. IT is not like a playing game. IT is not website development. IT system, information system is not like calculator. It's really a system. It's really a system. Developing a system is not possible by internship program. Developing a system needs a lot of experience. It's not possible to develop such system by students or by school teachers. It's not possible. It really needs experience. It really needs management skills and knowledge. So this is the reason that we discuss in the step to know what is project. Project definition. Definition of a project. A project is timely restricted effort that has predetermined amount of resource for achieving certain objective. This is the project definition. Project is always restricted by in time. You cannot start a project like this that, okay, I start, but the end of this project is not clear. You see, you have these types of project in Afghanistan that it started years ago, but you don't know when it will finish. So project is always, when we define a project, you should have a specific start time and a specific end time. It should be defined. And also a specific amount of budget, a specific amount of specific objective and scopes. Should have a scope, a specific scope, budget, and time. These three constraints define the structure of a project. These three constraints define the structure of a project: time, cost, and the scope. The scope of project should be clear. The time of start and end time of the project should be clear, and the budget should be clear. If a project not meet with all the features we listed, it means that project not completed successfully based off the budget as well and time as well. If we plan a project that let's complete this project in 2 months, if we deliver that in 2 years, that project count as a failed. That project already failed, because in 2 years we have many other things to develop. A lot of change will be there. We have improvement weekly in this field. We cannot wait 2 years for a project. The attributes of a project: objective should be clear, beginning and ending. It means duration of the project should be clear, activity and outcome or milestone should be clear. What activity, when? We should clearly plan that, clearly should know that when what activity is needed and what resources is needed in this for this activity in this time. And funding institution should be clear. Who will fund this? We also sometimes plan some projects that there is no fund available for that. And who will execute this? And what is the risk for this project? All of these things should be clear. There is a method, PRINCE2. This method divides projects in 2 main stages: manageable and controllable. Manageable and controllable. A management environment that is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to the specific business case. First, we need a management environment, and this management environment should be ready to accept the delivery. When we develop a software, there should be a stakeholder or customer ready to take this responsibility to evaluate this, if it's working best of their need, and to maintain that and to implement that. So this is one part of the management. The second part, a temporary organization that is needed to produce a unique and predefined outcome. When we produce something, when we want to develop some software, we need some structure for this. I mean, a human structure. Who should do what? Then we should structure a team. This team should develop a unique product, and it should be based off that requirements. So, example of projects, you already have many examples. E-learning system implemented by Ministry of Higher Education. You remember the module just last year they implemented, EDX 2 years ago they implemented, HMIS, I was the IT director of ITDR, 8 years ago I implemented. So I was the director of ITDR, I implemented the Afghanistan New Generation E-Learning Angel for 19 universities 8 years ago. Even it was more than 8 years ago, it was in 2010, we completed Afghanistan New Generation E-Learning. So they are all projects actually, but how to maintain them, how to use them, that's another story. So government website developed by the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology. So that's a project. Why we call them project? Because it has a specific budget, it has a specific time that we should complete, and it has a specific scope. They are project. But how to manage, I'm not talking about management of this, but they are example of project. EID card system, that's a project, but we have to manage. All of them needs management, but they are project. So that's implementable project. We have some example of research project also. For example, I'm working on a project that's called application of XMDD as key enabling technology for collaboration of web applications. So that's a research project. So I need to research about that and implement some parts and experiment with XMDD, extreme model driven design, and then to show the result and should prove that, okay, this is the result of this, and this XMDD is working differently than other things. For example, I did my PhD on reference architecture for collaboration of e-learning systems. That was a project. It had a specific time, it had a specific scope, and a specific budget was also defined for that. So what we need to do in the research projects? We need to define a research problem. We need to define research objective. We need to use a specific research method, and then we need to produce a result. This is the structure of a research project. The same as when we implementing a project, when we're developing a project of implementable project, it's different methods, but generally we need requirements, we need to design, we need to develop, and we need to test that, and we need to deliver. So always we need to define a structure. We need to define a structure for the project. And we need to define a process for that. It's different methods have different process, but any of them, this method if we use, still we need to define a process. An example of a research project method. An example of research project method. This is an example of research project method, which is for information system actually. How we start to do a research and also implement something. How to do this? When we start to do a research project in information system, we have other methods also, but if we have some socio-technical system and we want to study and research about this type of a system, then this method is a good method. How to implement this method? This is mostly used for socio-technical method system. Socio-technical system, it means that we have a technical part, which is information system, and it is also interacting with social. There is people, organization, technology, and that things as well. So if we have a system that is technical, but it have also interaction with people, with social, then this types of a method is good. For example, the EID card, that's completely a technical system, but that's not fully technical actually. That's a socio-technical system. You see that most of the part of that system is affecting from social, political affecting to that, social affecting to that, and also it has also another technical part. If you think technically about that, then you cannot manage that system. You cannot manage that. That's not only a technical work. So because this type of a system, it's called socio-technical system. How to do this, how to implement these types of method? Environment study. In which environment we want to implement this system? Environment study. In environment, what we have, people. In people, rules of this people, what rule they have? Capability and characteristics of the people. For example, in this EID card system, you see that we have a lot of problem on that. Why? Because we do not study the environment. We should know the characteristics of the people. If we do not know the characteristic of the people, characteristic and capability of the people, rule of people, then it's very difficult to manage that types of system. Because this is not only technical things. Anytime that you are talking about language, then you see 30 million people affecting it has a big stakeholder. So organization. So if we are talking about this EID card, this is not only for EID, but it's already also affecting to other systems. to all other systems, because that's very, very crucial. And every systems, all other systems that we have, then they have strategy, structure and culture, and process. We need to check the organization culture, organization strategy, and process. For example, when we want to implement e-learning in university, it's much better to give this option to universities that, okay, what you want to use. I teach here in Ireland. Never, no one say to us that you have to do this, you have to do this. That's not the culture of academic environment. They only put a topic and they say, okay, this is your knowledge field. You know much better than everyone. You can do this. If someone tell me that, okay, what you need to teach, then that's strange for me, because I know what to teach. This is a culture for the academic environment. But if you compare this environment with other environment, for example, for the Ministry of Defense, with soldiers, then that's different. There is different culture. So always you need to study the organization culture as well. Then technology, infrastructure, applications, communications, communication architecture, development capabilities, everything you need to analyze. Based off this analysis, then you need to check business need. So now what is required for this environment? Now you know that, okay, I know this environment very, very good. What needs for this? What is the gap? What is the problem? What problem I can solve? When you study the environment, you have to, there is a word that's called pain and gain. You have to find the pain. You have to see that, okay, what is the pain in this organization? For example, if you ask from the university, what is your pain? You will see we really need a good internet connection, a good, stable internet connection. So that's the need. If we say, okay, actually internet we cannot provide, but we will provide a very good e-learning system for you. Then they say, we actually need internet. Without internet, this e-learning system is not working. So always you need to check the environment need, organization need, and then you have to find the pin. And based off that, business needs, then you start development. Then you need to start development. You need to design something, or you need to develop some artifact, and then evaluate that. Is this based off that need? Always you have to evaluate. You check that, is the thing that you develop it based off their need, based off this business need or not? If it's based off that business need, it's good. Otherwise, you have to redefine this. And always it should be rigor. It should be rigor. It should be based off the knowledge. It's not possible. Someone said that, okay, actually I studied until 12 class. I never studied university, but I'm very good. I practice it with something. Now I'm very good in many things. I can develop a good system. That's not possible, actually. It's possible very, very rarely. But you need to be familiar with the theoretical things. You need to be familiar with framework, the methods. You need to have technical and academic knowledge. You need to have knowledge. This thing should be based off a knowledge. It should be based off a knowledge, applicable of knowledge. If you say, okay, actually university say something, but in our practice, we use our own experience. We don't follow any university instruction. One of the reason that projects fail do not follow the instruction of the science. You remember President Trump? He was that kind of a person. He was saying, nothing in science, we follow our own rule. So this is important. This is a method for a system development that is developed based off a research. A system should be developed based off a research, actually. Without research, you cannot start just immediately to develop a system. It's like a liner mostly. A research needed on that. After the research, then implementation project will coming out of that. And the research is like this. Out of research, implementable project should be out of the research. If you do not do the research and you start immediately a project, then when you complete it, you will see that, okay, for sure it will be failed. And at the end, you will see that, okay, there is many things wrong and this is not working. You have to waste a lot of time. You will waste a lot of time, a lot of resources. Because always when you start to complete a system, you really work on a project, you need to do a research. And after the research, then you complete the, you start implementable project. So this is the system development. Okay, skills and knowledge about project management are needed. Everybody who should, who needs the skill and knowledge of management. Who needs this? Those who perform a task during certain period of time. For example, I told you that you have an assignment and you have to complete this assignment in a week. This needs management. This needs management knowledge. This one actually it's a project because it has a specific time, a specific scope. If of course budget, or I don't know if you need budget for that, but it has a specific time and it has a specific scope. This is a project. It needs you need to have the knowledge of project management. So deal with complex problems. If you have a lot of problems in some organization and you deal to solve them, you need to find some solution for them. In that case, you need project management knowledge. You need project management knowledge. For example, now we see that many projects that the election system of Afghanistan is not going well. What to do? You need knowledge of project management, and you have to start professionally. If you start professionally, for sure you will find solution for that. But if you start like immediately some things, then there is no solution, but you adding another problem to the existing problems. So if you deal with some organizations that they have problems and you need to find solution for that, you need skills of project management. Accomplish the task with limited resources. You have limited resources, but you need to do this task. In that case, you need a skill of project management. We all mostly face to this type of problem. For example, we have $100,000, but organization expecting us to develop a system for us. So that's good for a module, but it's not enough for a system. In that case, you need project management skill and knowledge. Why you need? You can explain, you can estimate everything, and you can tell them that, okay, this is not enough. If you do not have this knowledge, if you say, okay, that's not enough, this is not acceptable for them, you have to clearly, professionally, should tell them that it's not enough. Or if that's enough, how to manage that resources. The resource management is also very important. If you have big budget, it's not means that the project will be success because you have budget. There was a lot of budget, but the project was failed. Why? Because of bad management. Cooperate in performing tasks with other people. For example, now you will have an assignment that's individual assignment and needs individual activity, but needs cooperation from other colleagues as well. Then, in this case, you need a scale of project management, knowledge of project management. Those who take into account the changing needs of boss, college, customer, or something. If you need to change something, you want to change your organization. Now you are working in the Ministry of Finance, but it's really boring for you. For example, you want to change your organization. You want to go to somewhere, some other organization. In that case, you should have the knowledge of project management. Based off the knowledge of your project management, you can you can change easier because you need change management. بیاین که کمک در مورد اساینمنت شما گپ بزنیم. اساینمنت شما را شما از این هفته در هر هفته شما یک اساینمنت دارین. به این هفته کاری که شما میکنید باید یک تاپیک تعیین کنین و در مورد تاپیک خود کمک تشریحات نوشته کنید. بعد هم شروع کنید در جمع کردن ریکوایرمنت. در این هفته شما عمیق کار میکنید، اما یک تولز باید استفاده کنیم. یکی از تولز هایی که میشه ازش استفاده کرد او ریکوایرمنت بازار است. بینی ریکوایرمنت بازار این لیست حالا ما به چی مندازم؟ به گوگل کلاس روم مندازم. به این که شما برین در ریکوایرمنت بازار که شما برین به این که شما برین شما میتونین که پروژه خود اینجا کرییت کنین و بعد هم اولا خب باید ساین این کنین. شما اگر اکاونت ندارین باید اکاونت کرییت کنید. اینجا که برین اکاونت رجیستر نیو اکاونت. من اکاونت دارم ولی نمیفهم که یادم مونده یا نه. اینجا شما باید حالا اکاونت خود لوگین شوین. وقت اگر ندارین شما باید رجیستر کنید. بعد ما یک ترای کنم که اگر پاسورد ما یادم مونده باشه. خب بس یادم مونده باشه. خب حالا ما لوگین شدیم در ریکوایرمنت بازار. شما در این هفته چی کار میکنید؟ ریکوایرمنت بازار را باز میکنین. بعد از او اینجا یک پروژه کریت میکنید. پروژه را اینجا خود شما حالا باید فکر کنید که کدام پروژه برای شما، حتی پروژه هایی که در مضامین دیگه گرفتین، اینجا میشه که شما سر از او چک کنید. همون پروژه خود اینجا نوشته کنید. اما یک پروژه individually هر کس یک پروژه باید داشته باشه. So now how to create this project? When you log into the requirements bazaar, then you see in the right side here a plus button. You have to click on this plus button, then write the title of your project. How to do this? Now I'm typing the name of the project. For example, I want to create hospital information management system. Hospital or management information system. Hospital management information system. This is a project I want to create. So when you have a title here, then you should describe this. The hospital management information system provide the detail. You need to explain this. Provide detail record repository for the patient and staff of hospitals. We also try to develop a collaborative system or interoperable system. For example, now I explain it this. When I explain it this, I save this one. So I have this project now here. The name of project was Hospital Management Information System, this one. Now I have this project. I explain it here as well. Now I go to follow this, and you can ask from your colleague also to follow this. You can ask from your team and your colleague also to follow this. And now when I have here, I have general requirements, but I can create other categories as well. For example, I create one category here. It's called functional requirements. So now I explain what I mean about functional requirements. The requirements to make the system active and functional will be listed here. So now I added one other category also. So I have this category now. Any things that I need in this category, I click on that and I now add that things. For example, what things I need to have this? A web interface. Then I will explain. Web interface need to have the the login page, logout, login page. What other things? Authentication system, authentication options, and required menus. For example, I add these things. So all other requirements also I can add here. So what is your task in this week? You need to add the your project name, as I did here. Project name is Hospital Management Information System. I did this one. Explain here, and then add the list of requirements here. This is not the end of your work, but this week you need to complete this one. When you completed this, then copy the URL of your project, copy the URL of your project. Then you need to go to the classroom, to the Google Classroom. In the Google Classroom, you have here activities. So I already added some activities here. Now I want to add another activity. One assignment. Assignment is project selection. This is your assignment. You need to, I want to add this. You need to add the title of your project in the requirements bazaar. Explain your project, and add the title of category and add the list of requirements. So finally, copy the URL of your project from the requirements bazaar and paste here in the this assignment. This is your work. So how many score I want to give? I will give 10%, 10% of total score. Until which time? The date should be, I select a date. Today is maybe next week, until next week, 22. So time option, which time you want to, 11, okay, 12 of 10. That's good. This is your, okay, I put my project here. This is your assignment for today. Assign. This is your assignment